All right, looks like we've got a lot of big news to go over when it comes to the Nintendo Switch 2 and more, because if you want to get a Nintendo Switch 2, you might want to buy it more sooner than later, because new reports are coming out that the Nintendo Switch 2 could get a price increase this year due to internal component costs skyrocketing, particularly the RAM crisis that is going on that seems to be affecting PCs and maybe even affecting the Steam Deck, and how you can't even buy that on Valve's official website right now. And there also is Sony coming into the play, saying that they might delay the PlayStation 6 a year or two to 2029 because of the RAM crisis that is going on. So we're going to get into that and another big RPG announcement and RPG news, so it's going to be a good one. But before we continue on, we are giving away a Nintendo Switch 2. All you have to do to enter is hit that subscribe button if you aren't already subscribed, and drop a comment below. We are giving away a Nintendo Switch 2 once we hit 150,000 subscribers, and it will be random. So the more that you actually comment and interact, the better chance that you have to win. Hit that like button, click that notification bell, and let's go ahead and jump right back into it. Let's start off with what Bloomberg had to say about the potential price increase for the Nintendo Switch 2. Quote, close rival Nintendo Co., which contributed to the surplus demand in 2025 after its new Switch 2 console drove storage and card purchases, is also contemplating raising the price of the device in 2026. People familiar with its plan said. Sony and Nintendo representatives didn't respond to requests for comment. So that's something that Shuntaro Furukawa has also talked about a bit as well, that, hey, we might consider it, it is possible, but it's something that we just need to wait and see about, because the RAM crisis that's going on right now is pretty bad. PCs are getting slammed with this. It is very expensive to buy RAM at this point. It's more expensive now than it was a year or two ago just for the same amount of RAM. You've got Nvidia reprinting certain cards because of the RAM crisis and how much it costs. You've got AI blowing up and eating up all of the RAM here. So it's definitely not a good economic situation right now when it comes to RAM. If you've got Sony delaying the PlayStation 6 because the system might cost $1,000 because they want to use like 30 gigabytes of RAM or something like that. You've got Nintendo contemplating whether they're going to be able to even sell the device at what they've been selling it at. And I do think that if they did raise the price, which we've talked about before in the past, I think that this is probably the way that it's going to go down. It would probably be a $50 price increase. So at the bare minimum, what you're looking at is probably $500 for the base model, and then maybe a $550 price for the Mario Kart one if they do that, or any other bundle. But here's what I would like Nintendo to do. I think it would be cool if they essentially just said, what we're going to do is that we're just going to make that Mario Kart bundle the standard bundle and throw in an extra game or so. I know that's not likely, but throwing in a game and then having the Mario Kart bundle, that be the standard, like let's just say Echoes of Wisdom, like a digital purchase for a game, and having that just be $500, I think that would probably be a pretty good value and a nice compensation for what happened. Now, once again, that's probably not going to happen. It's probably more likely that they do just the base model for $500, and then if there is a bundle, because that Mario Kart bundle is supposed to be till supplies last, but they're all over the place, so it's probably more likely that they do the $500 and $550, but we'll see with that. So I will say this: if you want to pick it up, if you want to get a Nintendo Switch 2, you might want to buy it now before the prices do increase because of the RAM situation. And it doesn't just affect the Nintendo Switch 2. We could see price increases across the board when it comes to Microsoft and Sony, although Sony did say that maybe they secured a lot more RAM, but who knows how long this RAM crisis is going to be a problem. Who knows what's going to come up with this, but we're just going to have to wait and see with all of this. But really what it comes down to, Nintendo needs to just make sure that they have a strong year with software. That needs to be the number one concern hands down, is making sure that they have software that truly, I would say, equates the value of the Nintendo Switch 2. I thought that in 2025, they did a good job with consistent releases. They had updates to games. You can play Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom at 60 FPS. You can play Super Mario Odyssey, free updates, Echoes of Wisdom. There was all sorts of really cool stuff. Obviously, you had Donkey Kong Bonanza and Mario Kart World, but I think in 2026, if there is a price increase, people are not going to like that. But if you have something like, let's say, 3D Mario, if you have a big new Pokemon game, if you have another hit or two here or there, it's going to lessen the blow and make it feel like it's going to be worth it for people. So I think that that needs to be the top priority, is making sure that that software is ready. And I have zero doubt that their developers are doing just that for 2026, because Mr. Furukawa did state that year 2 and year 3 are some of the most crucial years. And I think he means calendar years. So 2025 first year, 2026 second year. That's this year here. So we'll see what happens with that and what we get with maybe potential Nintendo Directs and things coming up. So what do you guys think about this when it comes to the RAM crisis and potential price increases and delays for systems? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, and moving on to the next topic here. We've got CyberConnect 2's new announcement of a game, and it's a big one. Hack Zero, fully planned, developed, and published in-house from CyberConnect 2, which is just really interesting here. So CyberConnect 2 has announced Hack Zero, a new action RPG in the Hack series for home consoles. That's in a quote there. 10 years in the making, self-planned, developed, and published with permission from intellectual property holder Bandai Namco Entertainment. Specific platforms and a release date were not announced. Now here's the first details of the game from the official website. The Hack series has always been developed by CyberConnect 2 and published by Bandai Namco Entertainment, but for Hack Zero, Bandai Namco Entertainment has given CyberConnect 2 permission to manage the entirety of the project from planning and development to release. It will be a title that is fully self-published by CyberConnect 2. World-renowned violinist Taro Hikase has penned the music, kickstarting the project to a dexterous tune of his violin. Hack Zero will be an RPG experience that blends the series' trademark duality of fantasy, game world, and reality, real world, with modern expectations infused with 100% pure CyberConnect 2 spirit. The game will be enjoyable for both veteran fans and new players alike. Please look forward to this newest iteration of Hack. Now, they also talked more about the Hack series and how it's been so long since the last game, and the staff with the executive producer and the people that are on it, and a lot of people that have worked on previous Hack games, some of the best ones. And the interesting thing about Hack is that this was a real big type of thing, RPG series, when it comes to the PlayStation 2. I just remember where you can carry over your save data, and there was a lot of cool stuff that they did even before, like Mass Effect, for example, when it comes to some of the save data stuff. And it's interesting because I didn't expect this to be a Hack announcement. I know I talked about this announcement, and I thought it was going to be like a Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm, like arena fighter. I thought it was gonna be like the next iteration of that, but it seems like if CyberConnect 2 is doing this now at this point, and this is what they're really working on, all hands on deck, because they are fully self-publishing this one, planning, developing it. Seems like it's gonna be a while before we get the next big, at least CyberConnect 2 Naruto game, and that's completely fine, because Hack is infinitely more exciting than having another arena fighter. So I'm pleasantly surprised when it comes to this. So in an interview with Famitsu, CyberConnect 2 CEO Hiroshi Yatsuyama said that the title Hack Zero reflects the messaging of restarting Hack from zero and has no connection to the Hack Zero light novel. The story is set roughly 10 years in the future and will once again center around the in-game MMORPG, The World, but with a greater focus on real-world drama. While previous entries in the Hack series were limited to their depictions of the real world to emails and web browsers due to budget and publisher constraints, no such constraints will exist for Hack Zero. Matsuyama said that the series has always explored themes of duality between worlds, and the monochrome teaser visual is meant to reflect that contrast, such as public persona versus inner feelings and the dual nature of reality and games. While the genre is RPG, gameplay will incorporate both action and adventure elements. The development team is comprised of both series veterans and younger staff. The teaser trailer was produced by Kamikaze Doga and does not feature any in-game footage. In related news, the weekly Famitsu number 1936, due out on February 19th, will feature a 30-page special on CyberConnect 2's 30th anniversary, including an overview of Cecil, the second title in the company's Trilogy of Vengeance series. So awesome to see .hack 0 come back, and with CyberConnect 2 fully taking the reins of it, they can truly make this the game that they want to make. So very exciting for .hack fans out there. And of course, I'll be keeping my eye out for this game when it does drop. I did buy the .hack collection games and I've played it. I thought it was okay. I wasn't into the .hack series back when they first came out on the PlayStation 2 just because I didn't get a chance to play them until later. I think I played it on the Nintendo Switch 1 where they released like a collection. And I think I actually originally played it on the PlayStation 4. I bought it twice, on the PS4 and on the Switch 1. So I'll definitely check out the .hack new game here, .hack 0, just because I want to see if it's good or not. So we'll see what happens once we get more information on the game. So what do you guys think about this announcement from CyberConnect 2 and .hack 0? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, and moving on to the next topic here. Let's discuss what's happening with Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 3 and how Mr. Hamaguchi has talked about how the game will be developed for multiple platforms, but it won't impact the graphics or quality of the game. So first, let's discuss what he said about the development of the game and how the lead platform is going to be PC. So he said this, quote, "By the way, when adapting the game for each platform, simply lowering quality across the board isn't necessarily the solution, because this can compromise the intended visual expression. That's why we make sure to review everything by eye and fine-tune so that each port matches the original vision." So this was an interesting take because there were a number of people that were a bit worried about that when it comes to the graphics performance, because they are going to systems like the Xbox Series S and to the Nintendo Switch 2, which are lower spec than the PlayStation 5. And as many of you guys already know, the base version of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth on PlayStation 5 is a bit blurry. So now you're going over to other systems that aren't as strong as PlayStation 5. Is this going to negatively impact the experience? So Mr. Hamaguchi also added to this when it comes to Xbox and to Nintendo, saying that, quote, "Both the Nintendo Switch 2 and Xbox versions have been incredibly well received and generated a lot of buzz online." He's talking about Final Fantasy VII Remake Integrate and of course the Rebirth port upcoming here. And that attention has also made me realize how many people are worried about this issue with graphics, he talks about. However, our decision to go multi-platform with the FF7 Remake series will not in any way lower the quality of the third installment. So rest assured, obviously he is doing his best to, of course, quell the concerns and sell his game. Mr. Hamaguchi also spoke on why going multi-platform is a good thing for Final Fantasy, and here's what he had to say, quote, "Let me put it this way. By making Final Fantasy VII Remake series multi-platform, we're increasing the number of players who can access and play the game. That means our work can reach more people. Naturally, that leads to higher overall sales. With that additional revenue, we can forecast returns and reinvest into the development. If supporting a particular platform is expected to increase sales by a certain amount, that allows us to expand our development budget and resources accordingly. That said, to be honest, my biggest reason is that as a creator, I'm genuinely happy when more people get to play the games we've made. I think that they learn a lot of different techniques and things, and as a big AAA publisher like Square Enix, you have the manpower, you have the resources, you have the experience, and they have the connections in order to make sure that all of this is set together right. So I personally don't have any type of worries about it. And at the end of the day, people just want to be able to play on the platform that they feel would be best for them. So if you're someone who wants to be able to take the game anywhere that you want, it's important that Square Enix supplies that, considering if you look at the landscape of Japan and the popularity of Final Fantasy, which has been dwindling, especially with younger people, according to different reports and everything. And if you look at the sales numbers of Final Fantasy recently with PlayStation exclusivity, it has not been great, which caused Square Enix to go multi-platform. The sales of the Nintendo Switch 2 in Japan only solidified that this is the best decision when it comes to the series' future. So it makes sense that they want to do this, but I don't think we have to worry about the quality going down considering how scalable things are and what they've already been able to show off with Final Fantasy VII Remake integrated, in addition to Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which looks pretty good, even though it's not out yet. It's coming out this June, but looks pretty good based off of what they've shown so far. So I don't think it's going to be a concern at all for the development team. So Mr. Hamaguchi saying that it's not going to be a concern here. So I personally don't think it's going to be a concern for the third title coming up here. So what do you guys think about everything that we discussed? There was a lot, from potential price increases to Dot Hack Zero new announcement, and of course FF7 Remake Part 3. Let me know in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell, and check out my other Nintendo Switch 2 RPG content and more right here on screen. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you guys for the next one. Peace.